was a gun.
I'm not voting.
If we want to build our nation.
The problem with the Somalians.
Just want to experience something else than a black man.
Move on, move
Can't be like a horse with blinkers.
Honestly say, I was about to have
corrupt
sex and then I pulled
crap,
up.
but it's nice.
Cape Town, jump up and down, igama ngu-speech, banbizu the dreamer. I'm crazy, ndiyararaza, ndiqhawuke phakathi kwekhasethi lingagqityanga. Catch me on Prim Poetry.
On a daily basis, I was audience to a boxing match between dad and his wife. My mother's face was a fist, where his fist would always feast upon. And there was never a day whereby her face would not face a face where his fist would feast upon her gorgeous face.
He cried, he died inside, he lied and said, I'm okay. But deep through his eyes lies a deep pain that chokes him from saying, please, please help me. Yes, he lied. He lied and I fell for his lies. He took his life before my eyes. Yes, the guilt still lies within me. Why did he lie? Hi, everyone. So my name is Palisa. My stage name is Kira. Born and bred in Lesotho, but came to Cape Town. So I'm a poet. I'm a Prim poet ambassador. So I'm going to make the best out of it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sipelo Bayana. They call me Speech the Dreamer. Born and bred in Cape Town. I am a television and radio broadcaster, but I always find myself in poetry spaces. I'm not necessarily a poet, though.
Igama lam ndinguntombi Mbucane, abanye bathi Ash. The administrator in a poetry foundation.
My name is Abongile Njamela. I'm from Khayelitsha. I'm a poet, a musician, and an actor. So I'm a Prim poet, so I'm here to make the best out of it as well.
I think poetry is still relevant in this day and age because I feel that poets speak the truth. Poets stand in front of thousands of people and have people relate to them. Is this not happening every day?
Yeah. I feel I'm with you on that one because I feel like a lot of other art forms, like the truth is kind of sugar-coated somehow. It's either hidden through e-vocals and stuff, and you can't clearly hear the message, but you can hear, this person sings so well. Yeah, but poetry is straight up. If I'm talking about love or depression, it is that, emotion. Actually that, and emotion.
When you come to emotion, there's a poet called Robert Frost. He said poetry is when emotion found thoughts, and then thoughts found words. Yeah. So meaning that's why we're into poetry, because we write our emotion through poetry. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I find it so amazing that people will immediately feel what you're saying on stage. Yeah, with poetry. That's really amazing.
And that's how we get the joy from people getting to know what we're talking about and getting to change people. From my point of view, I like to write about depression because that's what we are experiencing right now. There's a lot of people who experience depression. They want to talk about it, but they don't know who to talk about it to. Yeah. That's the challenge we have right now. So my poems are mainly based on depression. I want to change people's life. As much as the person cannot say, I'm depressed, but having to hear a poem that they can relate to, they will try and come out and try.
Wow.
Yeah.
And also, I take poetry is a healing component as well, because we are not well. 90% of the world is a mess. Everything in the world is wrong, and we are not well. We are not well.
And it's okay.
So we also, as poets, is how we heal ourselves. Especially me. If I'm not okay, I have to put it on a paper. I don't tell myself I want to write a poem, but a poem speaks to me. Yeah, I don't just write. If I write something down, tell myself I'm going to write a poem now, I'm going to do something weak. But if a poem is inside me and it wants to come out, then that's how.
Where I thought you were going with when you said we are not well. I thought he was going to say we are not well off as poets, because we find it today that artists, musicians, and other artists in the artist platform are the ones paid more to be on a gig than a poet.
Yeah.
Is that not so?
That's true.
It is sad, actually, and I think it's the world we live in. We as poets, we are sort of underrated, and the world doesn't acknowledge the people who do good stuff, man. For example, if you do good, you're not gonna be trending. But if you do if something bad happens,
You're gonna finish
it's gonna trend. It's gonna trend the whole year, and people are gonna know about it. But if you do something good, like helping a person, going to a street, giving someone something to eat, it's not gonna be as trendy and as popular as going to the tavern doing something bad. You see those kind of things. So I think the world is a mess as well, and we as poets, we're trying to fix it. And people also are running away from their issues, and they finding these whatever bad stuff they be doing as scapegoats from their problems. But eventually when you get home and you're alone with yourself, the problem is gonna be there. You need to face your problems. So I feel like poets are still relevant, and the world needs more poets.
I think poetry is just about, a creative way of writing about how we living. It's just it just like put everything in a nutshell of how we living, and we need those kind of people, because you don't have to like talk and talk and talk and talk. You just put everything in just one as a whole, and then you put it out there.
Exactly.
That's what we need people to. Don't need anyone to like, hey, let me tell you about it. Like, we need poets in order for us to get the clear message of where we're going. You understand? Yeah.
For me, I love it. Yeah. Wow, like you're right when you're saying that, because I find it when I'm watching you guys, especially when I was watching you performing at the Prim poetry sessions, and what I felt from him was that what he was talking about was healing me in what I was going through, So when I look at that and I experience that kind of feeling from a poet, I then ask myself a question of, kutheni bengahlonitshwa elihlobo musicians zihlonitshwa ngalo? Because I mean, if we put AKA here and we put a poet here and give them, platforms to perform, which one is going to get more attendance or reception from the other? It's the artist, it's the musician.
I also feel,
No, go right ahead.
people need to be educated more about poetry. And I feel like poetry, there's no rules in poetry. The fact that even now, I feel like we are also doing poetry as well, as
But
we
I
are talking
understand
about.
how to be educated in this, how, because I feel like poetry tina, we were born into it, especially tina ke abantu bamnyama. I feel like poetry, we are born into it in our culture. Xa kuyokuluswa umntana imbongi zikhona, okanye xa kusenzeka umsebenzi imbongi zikhona, okanye umalume wakho sisithethi endlini, that's a poet. Xa thina I don't know if separate la eligama lesilungu la concept,
Like also before I embark on my journey into poetry, I used to think poetry is those type of Shakespearean, or you have to have a certain voice, and you have to, oh my God, and do all those kind of things, But so I feel like a lot of people still think poetry is like that, and they also feel like you need to do English because be a poet, right? I feel like there's a lot of talented people, there are a lot of talented poets, but they doubt themselves because maybe they don't speak English too good, and they feel like since the English is the dominant language, and they just leave everything they have.
Poetry xa kunjalo ke ngoku.
Yeah, so I feel people need to be educated. It needs to be there, but it's quite growing actually, and it's getting the people's attention. But not others.
Kuthiwa ii-poets zi-serious, like zingaba bantu thetha ngento ezi-serious ezibalulekileyo, so thina sifuna udlala. So kuye kuthiwa we just those people who are like, we don't have anything better to do, we're too woke, we're too this, we're too that. But how true is that ke ngoku?
Yeah, that's the question, because
because abanye abantu, they don't follow it because they feel like, oh, those woke people, those serious people, they're gonna be telling us all the truth. We know the truth, but we wanna have fun. Can we have fun?
Right, Londo leyo. Let's be realistic about everything who we say we are, what we say we are, what we want to do in life. Because I find like poetry, that's the most realistic place you can ever be in artistry. I don't think, or personally, I don't think I've seen a fake poet. Because
So this is the other thing, like because you write about everything in poetry, you write about love, you write about affection, you write about those things. So how did poets end this thing that they are those serious people? Because poets are the most romantic people I know. I
Are you one of them?
Yeah, of course. Why not? But you know what? For me, when I write my poem, I just want an environment where I don't want anything. Because I just think about what I want to write. So for me, my poems are serious. So I don't need anyone to be like, hey, how are you? No. I turn off my phone and then I write whatever I feel like writing down there. And for me, I feel like, you know what? I can be serious when I write my poems, but I'm such a very bubbly person. So when I meet on the streets, I'm not going to be serious all the time. But when I have my crew and then I want to talk about what I want to talk about, something that are written down with so much emotion and affection, then I want to put it out there with an expression that I'm like, you know what, I feel, what I felt when writing a poem, that's how I want to present it out there. Yeah.
I mean, do you guys write like love poems? Like, have you ever written like a love poem to someone that you love?
Like, I actually have a question too before you answer that one. Since you're the male poet in this room, man, like, is this how it works? Because I noticed like the ladies will be like screaming when you're done with your poem. So is the message of a poet meaning to serenade these ladies with my words and with my charm and my spark, or it just happens in Zealand?
I don't know, bruh. I don't know. Actually, like she said, like I write how I feel. Okay. And coming to you also, Sissy, like when you're in love, you will never write a poem. It's hard to write a poem until you get heartbroken.
Yes.
It's like the opposite.
Yes.
When you're heartbroken or when you're single, that's why you know how to write a love poem. You write love poems, but when you're in love, you can't find the right words to actually
Like when you're
express.
at your happiest.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, well,
weird because
it's
I find that
weird.
the opposite. I find that the opposite. When I'm in love, I'm just writing everything, man.
Yeah, I
I'm just
struggle.
like, it's
I'm
over
re-
there,
I'm
and
re-
I'm just, even if I don't read it to the person that I'm writing it for,
Yeah.
but I write it because for me the momentum is there.
Yo,
I don't want to
I'm
have to
bad.
think back into that situation. You don't write love poems?
I don't write love
Even
poems.
for your country?
I don't.
Wow.
You are.
I don't know.
It's too
I
hard.
think
It's too
I
hard.
don't
Yo.
because like a friend of mine was daring me and they were saying that you're not a poet until you write a love poem. So that's why I was asking that question.
Yo.
Aye.
And now, like the poet, I only have one love poem, and it's actually heartbreak poem.
It's a love heartbreak poem.
Anything is related to love, but in a bad way. So I don't know. I feel like there are so many great writers, man. Like I feel like people have written enough for me about that. Like I don't know what to write. Like every love poem I come across with is so amazing. I'm like, how can I write something better than this?
Yeah, but you're right. There's so many great writers. I say this in terms of or the perspective that I'm getting it from social media. There are so many great writers, but does that make them poets? I feel like they are because baz expressa el hlobo bafila ngalo and ihlobo babhala ngalo it becomes so poetic. Does that make a person a poet?
I feel like now it does make them a poet because like the fact that the moment you realize that there are no rules in poetry, you don't have to rhyme. You just have to send the message and the image and the imagery is there and your content is nice. That's a poem. Yeah, because people at first we used to think you have to rhyme. You always have to rhyme. You have to have punchlines. You have to have metaphors. You have to have alliteration and all those kind of things. But the moment we broke that, and I think the slam poetry kind of broke that rule and just budged in. People just spoke facts, and they spoke how they feel, and that's what makes them poets as well. Yeah. So everyone is a poet as long as they have something to say.
My biggest dream has to be, I would like to be a media personality, television powerhouse in the future, or maybe own my own media house.
My dream is to change people's lives, especially the youth right now who are experiencing depression and having a depression organization center to help children.
Iphupha lam is to be able to find a space where abantu bekwazi uthetha ngengxaki zabo and find that cool, ukuzi-expressa. It should be a cool thing to do.
My dream is to change people's life and to make them love themselves first before they could love anybody else and appreciate themselves and who they are.